Cameron Johnson and Jake Manalio will make up row number 6. Mauro Nario and Colton Bruck back on row 7.
Further back, you go to Camila Canache and William Vitor, Simon Jack Klein, Luca Besserell, Oscar Gus Wonderlay, and Thomas Montalvo, your top 20 starters.
Kai Park will lead things off on the second page there on the inside of Nico Salazar, and the rest of your starters here for your 30 driver mini Swift field. They're rounding that last turn. Here we go, looking for green on the first time by 22 laps for the mini Swift main event, presented by Velocity Racing Soda USA. Green flag in the air. Enzo De Janeiro takes us right down to the first turn, and it is still treacherous and up and over. Cameron Johnson pirouettes on the right rear tire of, I believe, Nachawati there in the 180.
Oh man, we lost a lot of drivers at the start of this one. They all got rolling, it looks like to me, but again, it's gonna really reshape that entire mid-pack. We already have a huge group as De Janeiro goes really defensive on the likes of Francisco there. It pays off for him, but you start losing ground to those leaders early on, so it's Maxwell that leads over Myers, De Janeiro, Francisco. Ives loses a spot after all the chaos to start here, but when they cross the stripe, let's see how much this grid has really reshaped itself.
Yeah, we know that obviously our pole man's back to P3, and third on the grid is now into the lead, but the rest of the drivers changing around. Nico Salazar up into the top 10. Where will Nachawati and Cameron Johnson fade down to? Both were able to continue 29th, basically dead last. Right there going by your screen was the Franklin Motorsports Merlin of Cameron, and Nachawati back to 25th. They're going to have their work cut out for them over the next 21 laps here to try and make up for that. A sketchy start to kick things off here in Mini Swift as we keep an eye on 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Again, in the middle there with the pink helmet, Jaden Francisco. Parker Ives with the chrome helmet in the 148. The Nitro Karts trying to get by the pole sitter. One of them's going to get through there. Jaden into 3rd. Let's see if Parker can make something happen in turn 1 or if Enzo covers it off. He'll stay nice and tight there on the inside, and the same for that entire group behind him. It goes all the way back to 9th place there. Cade Wolf on that Roto-Rooter Timmy Tech comp card. Here's a look back at the start. Let's see if we can analyze kind of where it went wrong.
It looks like Paxton Romero and I believe Cade Wolf got together, and it caused just a bottleneck further back, and it really ended the races for a lot of drivers.
Man, Liam Nachawati took the left rear tire of Cameron Johnson straight to the side of the head. He probably had no idea what was happening. The fact that Liam is still out there trying to continue is extremely impressive. Another move there inside the main group. That was Perriman, easy to find on the basketball helmet. There into 5th, so Parker Ives goes back a spot. His teammate goes up a spot, and here comes Santi Orioli on that OKP Kart Republic into 7th now, and looking for maybe something here on Parker Ives. No changes, though, at the front, at least for the lead. That's all stayed stagnant. There's that move on Orioli. It looked like he was going to make it happen soon. He makes it right there. It's
such a double-edged sword as Romero goes through, where the start of every race, this is as close as the field will ever be. You want to take advantage of the passes. The problem is, we know around a place like Daytona, when you pass and you go after it side by side like this, further back with Canache and Simon Jack Klein, you lose ground to the guys in front of you.
Yeah, you have to be strategic so that way you don't make those passes hurt when you do get them done, but you also don't want to give the driver behind that you're passing an opportunity to stuff it right back down your inside in the next corner. So it's a balancing act, even in just holding a position, much less, of course, Alex, as you mentioned, managing the time difference between the cars in front and the cars behind you that could catch up to you if you waste too much time getting by. So gap was 4.2 from the lead back to the 138. Oh no, Canache spinning out of the last turn. Camila dropped, I don't even know if she really dropped the tire. It's just the way she was kind of out of shape and then tapped the back bumper of Salazar. And a very odd spin. Maybe the left rear just hung it off, but you can see our first victim of the last turn.
Yeah, unfortunately for Canache, it starts to roll down towards the center of the racetrack, and these karts aren't quick enough. They don't have enough torque off the bottom for her to climb that hill.
Through the bus stop chicane and down the backstretch, Maxwell Macha continues to lead the way. Passing in the second group. Looks like maybe something happening there for Orioli, Ives, and Cade Wolf. But I think your top 4 still stagnant. Who moved up or down? Orioli got by with Ives on Lawrence Perriman. So that was for position number 5, the change there. And it did open a bit of a gap back from Cade Wolf to Paxton Romero. All that chaos over the last lap or so Same for Simon Klein. He's got a 7/10 margin back to Mauro Nario. Your update on the drivers that we saw go out on the first lap. How about Nachawati? Liam Nachawati basically took a knockout blow to the helmet, went back to 25th from 10th. He's now back up to 17th and still digging, and it's not over yet for the driver who drove from 18th to his first U.S. Mini Swift win in Orlando. Let's see if we can't find the 180 Jay Howard driver development machine. That's his teammate William Vitor leading the next group, and it looks like Liam's got himself past the 117 of Thomas Montalvo. So Montalvo working with Nachawati there. 17th and 18th. They are still a good ways back. 11 seconds from the lead for Nachawati and Montalvo. But Liam, so quick here this week, rolled from row number 5. Can he drive it back up into the main pack here after that? And the same for Cameron Johnson, who was way back from the group. He's driven his way up a few of them already into 24th. And we still have 2/3 of the race remaining.
Yeah, there's a lot of racing left. We got a good replay here. Camila Canache. I think she dropped that left rear, and she did, yeah. And it's kind of drops off, or maybe a couple inches there. And again, when you have 3 tires on the surface and 1 not, and you have too much rotation, I mean, that left rear is holding on to nothing.
Well, it's almost like, too, she kind of stopped when she hit the driver in front's bumper. And so, like, the front end just hit a wall. And the pivot point, she still had her wheel turned to try and get off of the driver in front's rear bumper at the same time as that left rear fades off the racetrack. Just an odd spin there, but a great catch by our camera crew down in that last turn in the production booth to slow that down so we could really show you the breakdown of what happened to the young lady who was on the door, or knocking on the door of a top 10 run here up front. Let's see if there's going to be anything happening yet. I still think all 4 of them are happy to ride it out. Haven't watched how some of the other races today have gone, that you don't want to lose touch with the lead and you want to be as small of a group at the end as possible, because this track can pack up really quickly and you can get sent into the dirty sections of it really easily.
It's smart stuff from the top 4, and I'm sure the mechanics and team coaches are on the fence line, letting them know that the gap is remaining stagnant to Orioli and Ives. But I gotta say, Ives went purple last time by. He has a small toe on Orioli, but relatively by himself at the moment. So once he gets to the bumper of Orioli, he has a decision to make. Do you pass him, or do you work with him and maybe try to go out there and catch the top 4? At the pace they're at right now, I think it's in the cards to maybe make it happen. Another 2/10, Eden out of that lead.
Check out the front bumper on that Roto-Rooter Timmy Tech comp card of Cade Wolf here. We saw it with Caleb Gaffera, and it's easy to pick out here all that vibration and movement out of the front fairing of, or front bumper of that driver back in 7th. Well, that's a penalty here at the U.S. Pro Kart Series. The pushback bumper, it has a mounting point on the left and the right side of the center bar. And one side in, I believe, in years past has been a minor penalty. Both sides obviously a little bit bigger. And it is protestable over the course of the weekend. But the rules for the pushback bumper penalties, you've got to be able to display that there was no fault from green flag to checkers.
Orioli and Ives working together. So Ives now answered my question. He has decided at this stage in the race, with still 10 to go, he's going to push Orioli to the front. No need to make a pass and ruin the momentum he has. This is going to help again. Francisco up to first. So move the Ryan Perry Motorsports Nitro Kart machine to P1. Maxwell's going to take it back. And here comes Orioli, here comes Ives.
All right, they weren't racing earlier. They are now as the sun begins to shine here in Daytona Beach. And just like that, one half lap of movement. And 5th and 6th are well into frame. Cade Wolf is not giving up either there with Lawrence Perriman, with Paxton Romero. They might be able to join the fray, but they still need a lot to happen there. It's one thing to bring down a second gap. It's another to bring down a 3-second gap. But never say never. We're only just past the halfway mark. 13 laps down, 9 laps to go here from Daytona in Mini Swift.
De Janeiro, a slightly tighter line. It's been the line that I've noticed him running throughout this race. And you can get away with it again because of how much grip the inside of turn 1 has. You don't really have to open up to the corner. And what it does is it creates a defensive line into 1 without actually ruining your exit all too much out of 2. So let's see, this time by, it's really closing up here between the top 6. That next group is headed by Perriman, and that group has Wolf, Romero in it as well. It's a trio, and then it's Simon Jack Klein leading that 3rd group for SLA Karting down there in 10th. They're 3 seconds back from Parker Ives. They'll need a lot of racing, but not a whole lot because Ives and Orioli were 2 seconds back 3 laps ago. They're on the group now, and a small mistake, an uncharacteristic mistake from Enzo. Let's hold him through.
And he's going to go a little wide now. That'll open the door for maybe Orioli, but I think with the lower horsepower power plants, when they get out of turn 1, if they aren't already closing in, they're not going to be able to remount the charge from 2 to 3. So nothing there. Maybe something here down the back. Nope. Orioli sold him a dummy, and around goes Holden Myers, and he's going to send a poorly timed moment there for Enzo De Janeiro. Nowhere to go. Had to go wide as Orioli was making the move, and he trusted Santi when Santi said focus forward, and he stuffed him, and right at that same moment, Holden Myers spins out right in front of him. Oh.
I didn't get a really good chance to see what happened to Holden. I want to say he just turned it on the dirt.
Yeah, it looked like the left rear just kind of hung it off the edge of the racetrack. And so now, well, what has that done? That has sent Orioli and Ives back again from the leaders. They're once again in the same spot they were a couple of laps ago, trying to close the gap to Maxwell Macha. But this time, there's 2 less go-karts in front of them. Jaden Francisco now inherits second and gets an opportunity to try and keep this a 2-horse race and finish no worse than P2, because this time by only 6 laps will remain on the board. And Santi Orioli, Parker Ives, they were only really able to match him earlier. Let's see what they can do now. This time by, I think it was still pretty even amongst the pairs.
Yeah, it looks like nothing really changed up front for the top 4 drivers gap-wise. And if you're Jaden Francisco, if you're Aiden Levy on the fence line telling your Ryan Perry Motorsports driver in P2 and P4, you're letting Jaden know, listen, push Maxwell. No need to create any chaos up front. You have a chance at either a first or a second place finish at worst. Further back, we saw a move there. I believe that was Cade Wolf on Lawrence Perriman. And this has now given the chance to Romero to get on the last step of that podium under top 5. Further back, Perriman, Wolf, Klein, Marinario, and Liam Nashawati into the top 10.
What a run back forward for Liam. So now he's back to even from where he started. And they fight behind him here, side by side. Into turn number 1, Lawrence Perriman nearly back around Paxton Romero. How about Paxton here in the Bennick? Had rode at the back of that 3-pack here for a lot of this race. And now finds himself into the top 5, a spot on the podium for Paxton Romero in the 155, but he's still going to have to fight for it. Lots of racing left now as we follow along through the bus stop here with Perriman and then Cade Wolf in the 154. Your clarification on pushback penalties, it's 3 seconds for one side, 6 for the other. You get 1 appeal per race weekend, and that's it. I don't know if Cade's had to burn his 1 appeal or not, but if he would like to appeal the pushback penalty, he'll need, again, footage to prove his innocence, and it would reverse a 6-second penalty that would take him outside of the top 10 by a fraction right now. 5.5 seconds. Moving back to maybe the 10th actually. No, 11th, right behind Nico Salazar. Still though, fighting for the lead and the win. Maxwell Macha, Jaden Francisco.
Laps are ticking down here for Orioli and Ives to make anything happen. Francisco put on a masterclass about what it takes to push. We just saw the signal. Macha looked back. Francisco says, look forward. You don't have to worry about me. Romero has to worry about Perriman as he's gotten through into 5th. A couple of laps remaining, just over 2 to go, I think 3 to go this time by for Maxwell Macha and Jaden Francisco. Orioli, this is a bit of a dilemma for the OKP driver because he'd love to have help from Parker Ives, but Ives right now slowing down towards the latter part of this race, not able to give Orioli the final push he needs. So Santi doing a great job to even stay within the lazy toe of the 130 of Francisco, but at this stage, he's not closing the gap at all compared to what he needs with a couple to go.
Another lap in the books here. Jaden Francisco points forward to Maxwell, to saying to keep going. 2 laps to go for Porter Wiesenfeld. And the gap back from these 2 drivers here. What a display they have put on of working together, but I don't think it's paying off because the duo behind are doing even better at it. 3rd and 4th right now for Santi Orioli and Parker Ives, closing into these 2 here. Francisco still on the tail of Macha, but that time by from 1.5 and 1.6 seconds a couple of laps ago down to 1.1. They ate into the gap a couple of hundredths over the last few laps, couple tenths, and then this lap it evened out, but now to the white flag, 1 to go. They're a bit far back. If they fight, they will be there. Final time.
How hard do you defend on the opening stages of the lap here if you're Maxwell Macha? There's our answer. Middle of the racetrack. Francisco high side. You have to worry about Orioli, even though it's not on their minds right now because they haven't really seen Santi all race long. But if you're Orioli, you're in a great spot here to take advantage of any mistakes that happen. Maxwell low, Francisco high. There's not really a crossover opportunity here. It's going to come down to turn 9, 10, and 11 for Mini Swift.
Here we go. Final time around for the Mini Swift drivers. Down the back straightaway, looking for the finish of this one. 22 laps to the line. It will be a close one and a big run at the line. Francisco steals it.
Never celebrate too early if you're Maxwell Macha, and unfortunately, that's going to be a hard-earned lesson for him with the help of Orioli and a big shove to the back of the 130. Jaden Francisco with a monster run out of 11 just beats Macha to the line. Orioli and Ives round out your top 4. Lawrence Perriman is going to round out your podium there for BJR. Romero, Klein, Wolf, Nashawati up to 9th. Nico Salazar, your top 10 for Orsilon.
Oh, what a crazy, crazy ending to that one. We'll absolutely need to take a look back at how he was able to pull it off. Maxwell Macha thought he had it. 19 thousandths of a second. Jaden Francisco, your race winner here in Mini Swift over the field. Oh, incredible finish to the Daytona Super GP here for the 8 to 12-year-olds. Macha, Orioli, Parker Ives, Lawrence Perriman ends up on the box. And right there, I think it can finally begin to set in as the race has come to a close. It is an amazing, amazing finish here, and Ryan Perry Motorsport, Nitro Kart, they can celebrate Jaden Francisco, U.S. Pro Kart Series Daytona Super GP winner. And just as we got to see at the end of last year in Las Vegas, being in the scale line, so fun to watch the sportsmanship amongst these kids. Max had no idea. He thought he had it. Had no one alongside him, but what a run. What an absolutely monster run, and that last little leap in the seat. Jaden Francisco.
Oh, there's nothing worse than seeing the moment of realization for Maxwell Macha looking to his left and realizing he doesn't have it won.
Caleb, let's send it down to our Mini Swift winner who stole it by 19 thousandths of a second.
Jaden, what an end to that race. Did you know you had it?
I try to over and under him and hope for the best.
How does it feel to win here at Daytona? I see how excited your team is here.
It means so much to me. And I'd like to thank RPM Road to Racing, Chip Ganassi Racing, and everyone who supports me.
Well, there you guys have it from Jaden Francisco, your winner here in Daytona, and the RPM team. I tell you what, Xander, they're fired up.